Okay, everybody, today we're going to focus on how to improve a little bit on your reading test. So you, of course, have a reading passage and a question answer book. Which one should you read first? I hope you said the reading passage, because one of the things in the question answer book is, let's say you go ahead and read the question, and then you start reading the passage. Well, there might be an okay answer in paragraph 1, but the best answer is in paragraph 2. But if you hadn't read it yet, you'll easily make that mistake, and that's something that happens a lot. Plus, it's really good to go through, before you look at the question answer book, and read everything as best you can and make some highlights. Things like names, numbers, dates. These are things that you would want to highlight, and that's what we're going to do right now. So it helps if you have a difficult word or you're trying to understand tone to really look at the beginning, the opening line, the picture, maybe the opening paragraph. It will help you get an idea of what's happening. So terracotta warriors in color. I think most of you know what we're talking about right here. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's start reading. And I'm going to highlight what I think is important. Again, if you get in the habit of highlighting while you read, you're going to be doing better reading, more attentive. It's going to help everybody. So please take some notes. It was a dazzling spectacle, a life-sized army of painted clay soldiers buried to guard an emperor's tomb. Now, archaeologists and artists, armed with the latest tools and techniques, are bringing that ancient vision back to life. Oh, okay, so we knew it was about the terracotta warriors, but here, this is what I find to be important right there. That this is what they're doing with the terracotta warriors. The artists, I think everybody knows what an artist is. They do art. And the archaeologist, well, if you think about it, it's probably a job, and it's probably somebody who would be finding these warriors, and that's actually what it is. So, okay, they're talking about the improvements, about things that they're doing differently, how they could be in color. Interesting. In an earthen pit in central China, under what used to be their village's Persimmon orchid, 3 middle-aged women are hunched over an ancient jigsaw puzzle. Yang Rong Rong. Ooh, a name. Good to highlight a name. They will probably ask a question or 2 or 5 about Yang Rong Rong. A cheerful 57-year-old turns over a jagged piece in her calloused hands and fits into the perfect spot. Now, like here, this word right here is maybe a new word for you, calloused. And if you look at the words before and after, you can probably guess what it means. Like, okay, it has something to do with your hands. She's 57. So it probably means, like, okay, would it mean pretty or ugly? Probably ugly. And actually, that's what it means. Like, if your hand has dead skin on it, that is what a callus is. So that's a way that you can guess. You know, the reading passage is going to have a lot of words that you don't know, and you have to guess. This is how you do it. You look at the words that are near it. The other woman laughed as if enjoying an afternoon amusement in their village near the city of Xi'an. Okay, a place. What Yang and her friends are doing, in fact, is piecing together the 2,200-year-old mystery of the Terracotta Army, part of the celebrated and still dimly understood burial complex of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huangdi. All right. So I find this part important. Still dimly understood. What that means is that we don't know much about it. It usually takes Yang, okay, so here it's still her, and her coworkers many days to transform a heap of clay fragments into a full-size warrior, but today they are lucky. Ooh, accomplished a task in a matter of hours. Okay, that's a number. They like to find like time. They like to ask questions like that. So usually it's days. Now it's hours. Yang has been solving such puzzles since 1974, when farmers from her village of Xiyang first unearthed pottery and a sculpted head while digging for a well. Ooh, and a sculpted head. While digging for a well for their orchid. Ah. Having helped reassemble an army of 1,000 warriors, Yang examines a clay head sheathed in protective plastic. Visible through the wrap are flashes of pink and red, brilliant hues that hint at the original glory of the terracotta warriors. Okay, interesting. The monochrome figures that visitors to Xi'an's Terracotta Army Museum see today actually began as the multicolored fantasy of a ruler whose grandiose ambitions extended beyond the mortal realm. First emperor to unify China under a single dynasty. British say dynasty, but Americans would say dynasty. Qi Shi Huangdi packed a lot into his earthly reign. So again, here we have date. Decided building the first length of the Great Wall. Ooh. So these are things he did. The tyrannical reformer standardized the nation's writing system. Interesting. I find this to be useful. Measurements and provided the source for the English word we use for China. Qin is pronounced Chin, like China. All the while, the emperor prepared for the afterlife, commanding the construction of the burial complex that covers 35 miles. Qin's army of clay soldiers and horses was not a somber procession, but a supernatural display of bold colors: red, green, purple, and yellow. Sadly, most of the colors did not survive the crucible of time or the exposure to air. Oh, I find that important. It says why they didn't survive. That comes with discovery and excavation. In earlier digs, archaeologists often watched helplessly as the warriors' colors disintegrated in the dry Xi'an air. One study showed that once exposed, the lacquer underneath the paint begins to curl after 15 seconds and flake off in just 4 minutes. Vibrant pieces of history lost in the time it takes to boil an egg. That's how long it takes. Again, numbers, time, good to highlight. Now, a combination of serendipity and new preservation techniques is revealing the Terracotta Army's true colors. A 3-year, okay, we know how long it is, excavation in Xi'an's most famous site, known as Pit 1, has yielded more than 100 soldiers, some still adorned with painted features, including black hair, pink faces, and black or brown eyes. The best preserved specimens were found at the bottom of the pit, where a layer of mud created by flooding acted as a sort of a 2,000-year-old spa treatment. So that's how some of them were preserved or kept, because they were in mud. Almost 30 years ago, Chinese researchers started working with experts from the Conservation Office in Germany to develop a preservative known as PEG to help save the warriors' colors. During a recent excavation, the moment a painted artifact was unearthed, workers sprayed any bit of exposed color with the solution, then wrapped it in plastic to keep in the protective moisture. The most colorful pieces and their surrounding them have been removed to an on-site laboratory for further treatment. To everyone's delight, the modern techniques for preserving ancient colors seems to be working. Oh, okay, so it does seem to be working. In a narrow trench on the north side of Pit 1, archaeologist, here we got a name again, Shen Maosheng, leads me past what looks like terracotta backpacks strewn across the reddish soil. They are, in fact, clay quivers, still bristling with bronze arrows. Like here, you might know the word arrow, and then if you were to guess what is a quiver, oh, maybe it's that thing that arrows go in. Shen, got a name again, and I skirt the remnants of a freshly excavated chariot, and then stop beside a plastic sheet. Want to see a real sign, he asked. Lifting the sheet, Shen reveals a jagged 3-foot-long shield. So we got arrows, quivers, a shield. The wood is rotting away, but the shield's delicate design and brilliant reds, greens, and whites have imprinted on the earth. A few steps away is an intact military drone, whose leather surface has left another glorious pattern on the dirt, its crimson lines as fine as human hair, together with the imprints of finely woven silk and linen textiles also found here. These artifacts offer clues about the distinctive artistry that flourished during the Qin dynasty and vibrant palette that infused it. With so much color and artistry imprinted on the soil, so it's important, it's on the soil. The ancient paint, alas, adheres to the dirt more readily than to the lacquer. So that's why it goes away. It really sticks to the dirt. Chinese preservationists are now trying to preserve the earth itself. We are treating the earth as an artifact, says Rongbo, a name, the museum's head chemist, who helped develop a binding agent that holds the soil together so the color won't be lost. The next challenge, Rong says, will be to find an acceptable method for reapplying this color to the warriors. So this is important. What's the next? What they want to do next is reapply the color, add the color that's been lost. With less than 1%, ooh, wow, of the vast tomb complex excavated so far, so most of it has not been searched. It may take centuries to uncover all that remains hidden, but the pace of discovery is quickening. In 2011, the museum launched two long-term excavation projects on the flanks of the 250-foot high central burial mound. Exploration digs in this area a decade ago uncovered a group of terracotta acrobats and strong men. More extensive excavations will yield mind-boggling discoveries, which will amaze everyone, predicts Wu Yangqi, the museum's director. I like to highlight the names because they'll probably ask one, and so, okay, we can keep them organized. Like here, we know Wu is the director of the museum. Down in pit 1, Yang. Now, who could that be? Oh, yeah, if we go back where we highlighted names, who is Yang? Ah, the first woman, the old woman with the hands. So that's who they're talking about right here. Yang tightens the straps that hold her reconstructed warrior together. His head, still wrapped in plastic, is beaded with moisture. His lifelike pigment has been preserved, and his body will go on display at the museum with all the cracks and fissures he received during his 2,200 years underground. In the early days of the Xi'an excavations, the fractures and imperfections of the terracotta warriors were plastered over. Now reflecting the evolution of the museum's views on historical accuracy, a new army is forming on the pit's west end, cracks and all. I find this interesting. So this is talking about how the museum's changed. Before, they would fix the mistakes. Now, they show them. They show the mistakes where it's been broke, damaged. In every statue, Yang's handiwork, that's the old woman, is plainly visible. It's nothing special, she says with a modest smile. And with that, she and her village friends get back to work, piecing together the puzzle beneath the roots of their old persimmon trees. Okay. So notice that highlighting. It doesn't take us any extra time, but when you highlight, you're going to be absorbing, you're going to get more of the reading. This doesn't take any extra time. It just helps you remember the key points. Some of it will be a question, some of it won't be, but it's going to help you remember more of what you read. And I guarantee you some of the things we highlighted will be asked. And when you go back, you'll be able to remember. For example, which one is the director of the museum? It's not Yang Rongrong. Where was that? Over here? Oh yeah, the museum's director, Wu Yangqi. I could find that very quickly. And they will probably ask a question like that. So just go through, before you look at the question answer sheet, read and highlight. Hope this helps. Send me any questions or comments you may have. Have a good day.